Hi everyone, Kathy Rose here. I'm going to talk to you about the astrological patterns for December 2024. So you see on screen the Sagittarius mandala, which carries an energy that is very extroverted and dynamic. It's action oriented, but flowing through that is also the pursuit of truth and freedom. And as we go through December, we get an amazing journey to explore some of these things. Let me share this with you in the next slide, where we talk about the themes for December. Top of the list for December, I think, on a personal level, is to spend some time mindfully examining our sense of truth. So, in the Sagittarius version, on the highest level, Sagittarius is trying to seek a connection with truth that works for each of us, but it's trying to do it also with freedom, meaning the highest version of Sagittarius is able to say, not everybody is going to see truth in the same way. That we look through different angles. It's like the blind men touching a different part of the elephant, and everybody describes the same animal in a different way because they're touching different parts. That is, in a sense, to me, how Sagittarius energy can be lived beautifully. But, what can happen in the shadow side of Sagittarius is a rigidity. My truth is the right truth, which says your truth is the wrong truth. And it can be, judgmental after a while. And that's a human condition to have to look at these polarities between the shadow side and the highest version. But in December, since we have just in the US here gone through this very powerful election, and this election was full of polarization and full of an absolutely perfect example of how different people view truth completely opposite. And it stirred up a lot for a lot of people. So as we go through December, just take some time to examine, is there any rigidity you have in how you see truth? I'm certainly going to be spending some time looking at all this. And one of the ways we can do it is to learn to observe human behavior, learn to observe our own reactions into world events with fascination. Sometimes when I um, experience something in life that isn't necessarily what I want, if I remind myself to look at it with fascination, it changes my reaction. Just like the image on screen here with the kids looking through the magnifying glass, viewing it with fascination as opposed to judgment or strong opinion. It's just that it's fascinating. You process differently when you do that. So if you can remember that perspective, that's going to help us as we go through December. And of course, then there's the embracing flow and flexibility that is so important this month, partially because Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius, and we have the Sagittarius new moon that happens, and other things too. And I'll be talking about this as we go through. And then the other background theme that is very strong has to do with courage, pride, and power management. And this is because Mars is opposite Pluto in the background all month. If you remember, Mars was opposite Pluto exact in early November, and it will be exact again in early January, and it will complete this in late April. So, how we manage this very dynamic energy between Mars and Pluto is so very important. Um, Channel it to confidence, inner confidence, and your own personal empowerment, and your pride in your ability to be loving and flexible and to flow. Otherwise, it goes into um, anger and frustration, and that's not optimal. So let's start off with a new moon in Sagittarius, first day of the month. And everything I just talked about in the themes shows up in this chart. There was one aspect I didn't annotate, which I don't know why I didn't do it, but that is the fact that Mercury is opposite Jupiter, squaring Saturn. So we have the themes here that's saying examine what you believe to be true and understand that what you believe to be true is right for you. But see if you can open the door to accepting the fact that other people may see it slightly differently. Just see if there's any wiggle room at all, because that's the underlying message here. We can get so caught up in what we believe that we forget to mindfully examine. You'll see on screen Mars is opposite Pluto and it's within 5 degrees. So it's not quite exact all through December, as I mentioned, but it's definitely in that background energy. So we have this pervasive need to do our body, mind, and spirit connection um, mindfully and powerfully with lovingness, with freedom, and with the big picture view. That's what's so important during this new moon in Sagittarius. We want to avoid the shadow side of Sagittarius, which are very strong opinions connected to our sense of truth. It's not getting us anywhere. I don't believe there is only one truth. I tend to believe that I have the capability to see certain versions of truth based on where I am at this moment, um, that are right for me in this moment. And if you review your life, you're going to see how your concept of truth may have evolved as you gained more wisdom. This is important to meditate on through December. So, just after this new moon in Sagittarius, we have a lot going on. On December 6th, Mars is going to begin the retrograde at 6 degrees Leo. So, I've been talking about this Mars retrograde for several months in my forecast videos. Mars entered Cancer in September, stayed in Cancer for October, entered Leo in November, and now begins the retrograde. So there's a wave of high activity between 17 Cancer and 6 Leo. If you know your chart very well and you have planets between those 2 degrees in those two signs, then you are receiving this constant flow of Mars energy, and you will be receiving it until we get to May. And this is helping you to reinvent your motivation, to re-energize your motivation, to take concerted steps forward to reach your goals. And if you're not receiving it directly to a planet in your chart, it still is doing the same thing. It's just a little bit less personally. Receiving Mars energy for up to 6 months is a very powerful thing. It helps us to look at our level of confidence and commitment to move our life forward. December 7th, we have Venus conjunct Pluto and in Aquarius. And this is an amazing opportunity to do exactly what I had said earlier, which is to accept that other people may have a different viewpoint. Venus conjunct Pluto. Venus is the social energy, and Pluto is empowerment. And in Aquarius, it's talking about humanity and connection between humanity. So, this would be a great time to focus on the word acceptance. And again, it's much easier to do that if you are viewing other people with fascination, observing them with fascination. For me, anyway, that helps. The other thing that happens on December 7 is that Neptune ends the retrograde in Pisces at 27 degrees. So if you've had planets in your chart at 27 in a mutable sign, which would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, then you've been receiving this Neptune transit for almost 2 years. And it's in a completion phase right now. And Neptune is going to move into the next phase where it moves between the very last degree of Pisces into early Aries and back into late Pisces. And that happens in 2025. And I'm going to be doing a 2025 forecast video with my friend Pam Gregory, and we are going to be talking about how important this next wave of energy from Neptune will be. But ending the retrograde on December 7th is going to be an important phase change. And then on December 15th, Mercury ends the retrograde at 6 degrees Sagittarius. So it's going to stay in Sagittarius for the rest of December and into the early part of January. If you have planets between 6 Sagittarius and 22 Sagittarius, and you had the delightful opportunity to receive this Mercury energy for that prolonged period, and again, it's supposed to be jiggling your idea of truth. And even if you didn't receive it to a personal planet in your chart, flexibility in your thinking is very, very important. So on December 15th, not only do we have Mercury ending the retrograde, but we also have a full moon in Gemini that day. So Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Gemini, squaring Neptune in Pisces. Wow. And that's a very, very interesting statement because it's a mixture of elemental energy that can be delightful when you merge them together. So we have the analytical ability and the facts and the information from the moon in Gemini. We have Sun in Sagittarius, which just wants to know and wants to be attached to truth. And we have Neptune in Pisces, which wants to feel, which wants to merge with the divine, which wants to have compassion. So again, body, mind, spirit connection. All I would say for this full moon in Gemini is to make a commitment and a statement about your foundational beliefs powerfully and playfully. You know, the mutable energies, which this T square between the sun and the moon and Neptune, it's all in the mutable signs. It's it's not designed really to be so focused on having procedure or repetition or seriousness, even. It's very playful energy. It's lighthearted. It's spontaneous and in the moment with a lot of flexibility. So have fun with this. Um, just energize what you believe to be true in your life and be mindful about the fact that you are sending waves of creative energy in your reality. Your subconscious hears everything you say and everything you feel. And your subconscious works very hard to create exactly what you have told it. And it doesn't differentiate between the positive or the negative statements. So this full moon in Gemini, I always call it the affirmation moon, because this is when you just have a little mindful moment to reorient yourself to your more positive beliefs. Mars at this time of the full moon in Gemini will be at the midpoint between Pluto and Venus. Ooh, that's interesting. Again, saying speak with confidence, take pride in your ability to create what you want in life. Be not only confident and have pride, but be courageous. Use this motivational energy from Mars to accomplish your tasks. So I love this full moon in Gemini. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then on December 21st, we have a Capricorn solstice. This is when the sun hits 0 Capricorn and we begin a new season. So, for those of us in the northern hemisphere, this new season is going to be winter. And on the solstice, that's when we have the longest darkness. And the days start to get longer from the Capricorn solstice until we get to the summer solstice in Cancer in June. Each day, sunlight lasts for about a minute longer each day. So this point of darkness at the Capricorn solstice, in the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, um, takes you inward. It's a very deep and inward sort of energy, almost a little bit like hibernation because the days are so short. For those of you in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be the summer solstice when it's the longest daylight hours. Um, but the bottom line, when we have a solstice, we powerfully feel the shift into the new phase, the new season that comes in. Be aware of that instinctive energy change that takes place. And then we have a second new moon in December. On December 30th, it's a new moon in Capricorn. A very different energy flavor because the Capricorn um, earth sign brings in the practicality, the need to achieve, the need to make things happen and move things forward in life, the need to be strategic, and that bottom line kind of energy. Um, at the time when we have this, we still have the same underlying theme going on, though, as we did in the other two lunations through the month, because we're still going to have Mercury opposite Jupiter, and in this case, squaring Saturn. Um, Mercury will have ended the retrograde, but it's still involved. And again, this goes back to are you engaging in a polarized viewpoint? Are you pushing against other people's versions of truth? Are you able to connect with lovingness with other people and again, observe with fascination their particular viewpoint? So it's the same thing all month long. But you do see on screen here, Pluto opposite Mars or Mars opposite Pluto is much closer now. Mars at 2 degrees, Pluto at 1 degree. It will be exact in the early part of January. So this is direct in your face, power management, um, and courage management. And on top of that, we're going to have Venus squaring Uranus. Again, saying the same thing. Can we allow each and every person to have their version of truth? And can we open our minds to at least be able to see through their eyes to try to understand how they might be thinking? Doesn't mean we have to give up our version of truth, but can we look at them with fascination? It's a powerful month for us, all in the same theme, over and over and over again. So my final thoughts hit the same tone. Take the high view, take the big picture view, rise above the little tiny details and look at it from a different perspective. Observe life with fascination and observe yourself with fascination, your own reactions, your own beliefs. Um, it could be so amazingly productive this month for us to develop more flexibility with our versions of truth. And for the healing that needs to take place between us as humans right now in this highly politically charged period, this big shift that we're all going through, I think this is very, very important. All right, so that's the month of December. It hits basically one tone and has it resounding through the entire month. And as we enter the last month of the year, I hope that you have an opportunity to begin your year review of the progress that you have made as a soul, of the wisdom that you have gathered and developed. And I hope you feel good about how much you have grown this year. So, as always, much love and many blessings to you. And I look forward to speaking to you in 2025. Enjoy this month and the incredible playfulness that Sagittarius offers when you look at life as a child with fascination. Bye for now.